10 Dark Truths about the Appalachian Death Triangle. Starting with number 10. In the 10th place, the abandoned campsites mark the first dark threshold of the Appalachian Death Triangle. Rangers have documented sites where fires still burn, pots of stew bubble on the coals, and tents remain zipped with sleeping bags unrolled, yet not a single footprint leads away. In July 2021, a camp near Rowan Highlands was found with every personal item untouched, as if its occupants vanished mid-meal. A year later, another site recorded on September 3rd showed the same chilling pattern: warm embers, intact gear, and total human absence. These scenes raise a question that lingers. What force empties a campsite so completely, leaving only silence and no trace? Number 9. The distant signals transform the Appalachian Death Triangle from a place of passive mystery to one of active interference. Hikers equipped with the latest Garmin devices have reported sudden firmware crashes, screens frozen on a blue triangle, navigation lost, and no way to reboot without specialist help. In 2025, crash logs from the region documented multiple instances where GPS units dropped all satellite contact along a 2-mile corridor, even under clear skies. Satellite messengers and radios fare no better, with frequency jumps and bursts of static that cut off communication mid-sentence. NOAA's geomagnetic records show spikes in the K-index, reaching 5.2 on July 14, 2021, and 5.0 on September 3, 2022, matching the dates of several disappearances. Field tests by RF engineers from the National Radio Systems Lab have captured unexplained frequency shifts and dead zones, demonstrating that even modern technology can be rendered useless here. The triangle doesn't just swallow people, it disables the very tools meant to keep them safe. 8th place, the unsettling footprints. Transform suspicion into something physical, a presence that leaves marks yet defies explanation. In early 2025, a thermal video captured a series of heat signatures pressed into a muddy trail near the Watauga River. The prints glowed for 30 seconds, then faded, but the soil beneath showed no compression or disturbance when tested later that day. Forensic analysis from the 1980s revealed similar anomalies. Layered moss and leaf litter remained perfectly intact, even where a human step should have broken the surface. Rangers have measured stride lengths, shifting from 8 inches to nearly 2 feet within a single trackway, with abrupt changes that rule out known wildlife or human gait. In 2020, a ranger's log noted that the tread pattern resembled no boot or animal found in the region. These footprints do not just appear, they start, stop, and vanish mid-slope, as if the maker steps out of reality itself. The deeper you look, the more each print suggests something watching, moving, and choosing when to be seen. Number 7. The shadowed figures introduce a new layer of dread to the Appalachian Death Triangle. Eyewitness accounts, 37 compiled by Dr. James Harlan in his 2023 Oral History Project, describe tall, human-like silhouettes standing motionless on ridgelines or half-hidden among the trees. These figures are often estimated at over 6 feet, with a stillness that feels deliberate, not accidental. In night vision footage from 2019, a pale outline appears on a hillside, but as the camera's motion tracking zeroes in, the figure vanishes, leaving the sensor blank. Some hikers report seeing eyes glinting in the darkness, only to look again and find nothing but empty woods. Cherokee folklore speaks of the Watchers, spirits said to observe travelers, but never intervene. What sets these encounters apart is their silence. No rush of movement, no sound, just the unnerving sense of being watched by something that chooses when and where to be seen. These figures don't leave tracks or marks. Their presence is psychological, escalating fear from what might be walking in the forest to what might be watching from the edge of perception. Number 6. The strangely timed weather turns the Appalachian Death Triangle from an eerie landscape into a place where the environment itself seems to close in. Ranger logs from 1980 to 1986 document. Abrupt temperature swings recordings show shifts from a balmy 72 degrees to a biting 28 degrees in less than an hour. NOAA's microstation records confirm pressure drops of 2 millibars in under 5 minutes, enough to trigger dense fog that blankets entire valleys. In 1981, a sudden downpour dumped 70 millimeters of rain in just 20 minutes, stranding a group of hikers whose campsite was later found abandoned. These aren't ordinary mountain storms. The weather events strike with surgical precision, often targeting narrow ridges or single clearings, and frequently coincide with disappearances or reports of hikers losing their way. For those inside the triangle, the atmosphere can shift from still and silent to howling wind or impenetrable mist in seconds, erasing trails and cutting off escape. The threat isn't just what lurks in the woods, it is the air itself, weaponized by forces that leave no warning and no way out. Number 5. The silent clearings strip away one of the last lifelines in the Appalachian Death Triangle, the sense of sound. In these pockets, acoustic meters have recorded decibel drops of more than 30, with ambient readings falling below 20 decibels. Even the usual dawn chorus, birds, insects, distant wind, vanishes completely. In 2021, the USFS Acoustic Ecology Unit logged a clearing near Roan Highlands, where the sound spectrum between 2 and 4 kilohertz, the range for most bird calls and human speech, was nearly flatlined. Hikers who wander into these zones describe the experience as stepping into a sensory void. One backpacker wrote, "It felt like the world was paused, like someone had pressed mute on the forest." The absence is so total that footsteps, the rustle of a jacket, even the snap of a twig come back as if muffled by invisible walls. Without these auditory anchors, orientation falters and isolation deepens. For those who rely on sound to gauge distance, direction, or the presence of others, the silence becomes a force of its own, one that disorients, unsettles, and leaves travelers unsure of what's real. The clearings don't just remove noise, they erase the sense of being anywhere at all, setting the stage for phenomena that feel less like tricks of the wilderness and more like a deliberate deprivation of the senses. Number 4. The disappearing voices take the Appalachian Death Triangle from mere silence to something far more disturbing, a wilderness that seems to fabricate sound with intent. In May 2023, a hiker's digital recorder captured a whisper echoing through the fog at Clingman's Dome. The spectrogram showed a human vocal pattern between 300 Hz and 500 Hz, yet there was no one visible for half a mile in any direction. Field playback confirmed the voice sounded like a familiar person, repeating the hiker's name, but the background remained unnaturally quiet. No wind, no insects, not even the crunch of leaves. A 2019 report from Balsam Gap logged a similar event. Two hikers heard what they described as a friend calling from behind a boulder, only to find the clearing empty when they turned back. Dr. Laura Mitchell, a cognitive psychologist at the University of Virginia, has studied these cases and notes that stress-induced misattribution, mistaking random sounds for voices, occurs in 12% of wilderness incidents, but never with the clarity or repetition found in the triangle. The effect is amplified here. Voices seem to emerge from nowhere, drawing hikers off trail or deeper into the woods. These aren't just tricks of the mind. The recordings leave no evidence of an actual source, only a persistent, luring call that fades as quickly as it appears. In a region already stripped of its normal soundscape, the sudden arrival of a voice, utterly out of place, suggests the triangle doesn't just erase reality, it invents it, one whisper at a time. Coming to the top three, the repeating pathways of the Appalachian Death Triangle challenge the very foundation of navigation. Hikers equipped with GPS, trail maps, and digital compasses have reported walking for hours, only to find themselves returning to the same rock cairn, split rail fence, or trail marker, despite never turning back. In a 2021 ATC audit, 6 distinct trail segments between Balsam Gap and Watauga River were flagged for GPS loop anomalies. Each segment, averaging a 1.2-kilometer circuit, was independently traversed by at least 4 hikers, whose devices logged nearly identical looping tracks, with deviations of less than 15 meters. GIS overlays from the same period reveal these loops consistently overlap with mapped dead zones, areas notorious for electronic failures and missing persons reports. A 2023 Ranger interview describes a search team repeatedly crossing the same log bridge, their GPS watches logging new mileage, but the landscape refusing to change. The effect is not simply a trick of the mind. Audit logs and device timestamps confirm physical relocation within a closed circuit, overriding both internal sense of direction and external navigation tools. This phenomenon stands apart from auditory or visual illusions. Here, the body itself is manipulated, compelled to walk in circles, even as every instrument insists progress is being made. The repeating pathways transform the forest into a labyrinth without walls, where escape depends not on skill or preparation, but on forces that seem to rewrite the rules of space itself. The unsettling precision of these loops, verified by both hiker accounts and digital audit trails, raises a disturbing possibility. Within the Death Triangle, even reality's most basic coordinates can become untrustworthy. Number 2. The lost hours phenomenon unsettles even the most seasoned hikers in the Appalachian Death Triangle. Time, normally a steady companion on the trail, begins to slip and fracture. In July 2014, a U.S. Forest Service log details the case of a solo backpacker whose GPS tracker recorded a continuous 2-hour and 45-minute gap, no movement, no signal, yet the hiker's own memory insists he walked straight through. The device's clock never stopped, but the data vanished, as if those hours were erased from the landscape itself. Another incident, logged in September 2003, describes a pair of hikers who set out for a short loop, expecting to return in under an hour. Their GPS watch showed only 3 minutes had passed, but when they emerged at the trailhead, 4 hours were gone. Neither could account for what happened in the missing span. NOAA's geomagnetic logs for both dates reveal spikes in the planetary K-index 5.2 on July 14, 2014, and 5.0 on September 3, 2003. These surges, while not reaching the level of a full geomagnetic storm, are strong enough to disrupt electronic devices and, according to some researchers, may even affect human perception. Dr. Laura Mitchell, a cognitive psychologist at the University of Virginia, points to recent studies on hippocampal time cells, neurons that help the brain track the passage of moments. Under conditions of sensory deprivation or geomagnetic disturbance, these cells can misfire, leading to subjective time loss or memory fragmentation. The Appalachian Death Triangle amplifies this effect. Hikers report clocks that freeze, digital watches that skip ahead, and a sense of time stretching or collapsing without warning. The pattern is more than anecdotal. Field audits by the Appalachian Trail Conservancy have flagged multiple segments where GPS timestamps and hiker recollections diverge dramatically, often coinciding with geomagnetic data spikes. These lost hours bridge the gap between physical disorientation and a deeper, more existential uncertainty where not just the trail, but time itself becomes unreliable. In a region already known for spatial loops and vanishing pathways, the manipulation of time stands as a near-total breach of reality's rules, setting the stage for the final, most extreme claim yet. And finally, in first place, the place where the maps stop. Deep within the Appalachian Death Triangle, there is a half-mile pocket where every tool for navigation breaks down at once. In this zone, paper maps lose their meaning. GPS units display blank screens or freeze at a single coordinate, and compasses spin in endless circles, refusing to settle. The phenomenon is not just rumor. U.S. Forest Service Incident Log number 2023-112, obtained through a Freedom of Information Act request, documents a 2023 rescue attempt that had to be aborted after both rangers and search dogs became disoriented. The log details a plus 12-degree shift in magnetic declination measured on site, far beyond the usual for the region. Field teams reported their compasses swinging a full 360 degrees, unable to find north even after repeated calibration. GPS receivers locked onto a single set of coordinates and would not update, regardless of movement. The Appalachian Trail Conservancy's Dead Zone map, built from 3 years of GPS audit data, shows this pocket as a blank, no waypoints, no track logs, just a digital void. Dr. Emily Carter's 2023 geomagnetism study, referenced in the agency's internal report, notes that the area sits atop a band of high-conductivity bedrock, but even this cannot explain the severity of the anomaly. Magnetometers brought in for field testing recorded sudden, unpredictable spikes, while radio beacons failed to transmit even at short range. Ranger John McCoy, who led the 2023 search, described the experience in his field notes. Every direction pointed to the same place. We walked for hours and got nowhere. The forest felt like it was folding in on itself. The rescue team's body cameras captured time-stamped footage of the group circling the same fallen tree 3 times, with digital clocks and GPS units frozen on the same time and location. The incident log closes with the decision to withdraw all personnel, citing risk of further disorientation. The area was temporarily closed, and official maps now mark it as a restricted zone. For hikers, the warning is unambiguous. Within this pocket, reality itself becomes unstable. Bearings contradict, distances collapse, and the very tools designed to keep travelers safe become useless. This is not a case of folklore or misread instruments. The convergence of contradictory bearings, a documented magnetic shift, and the total failure of both digital and analog navigation sets this place apart from every other anomaly in the triangle. Here, the breakdown is total. The Appalachian Death Triangle earns its name most fully in the place where the maps stop, where the forest is no longer just disorienting but actively resists being known. In this final silent corridor, all the earlier mysteries, abandoned campsites, vanishing signals, lost time, culminate in a single, inescapable truth. There are places in these mountains where the rules of orientation and perhaps the rules of reality simply do not apply. Across all 10 mysteries, one pattern stands out. The Appalachian Death Triangle disrupts our deepest certainties about direction, time, and even reality itself. This isn't just a place where people vanish. It's a landscape that rewrites the rules we depend on. The true darkness here isn't what's seen, but what remains unexplained. Let us know if you'd ever dare to enter these woods. Drop your thoughts below.